The government growing babies. Microchips in your anus. All koala bears are racist. The ozone layer owes me money. Martians invented turkey stuffing. Y'all can't tell me nothing.
Yup. There it is, you Christmas bitches. Welcome to a holiday recap, a celebration of the best of My Momma Told Me, the podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories and we finally review the things that we do best on this show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is the holiday season, and like all of you, I don't give a fuck about working during this time, and so I instead am going to encourage you to listen to some of our finest, some of our greatest moments from the show. This is our introduction for part 1 of the best ofs. That means there's a part 2. You're some lucky sons of bitches. All of you. Every single one of you, you lucky pieces of shit. And guess what? The best ofs include some of the best of our games. That means homemade hotep. That means white lies. That means some of the other odd games that I come up with desperately to entertain you and our guests. We are going to recap some of our finest, and boy, do we have some fine moments to recap with you from 2021 and beyond. There's no beyond. It's just 2021. But you know what I mean. It sounds better if I say beyond. Otherwise, it just sort of feels flat as a sentence. I don't know. I spend too much time alone. Maybe it would have been a fine sentence without it. There's no reason for me to dig through this desperate emotional turn that I'm going through. It's the holiday season and I'm getting dark. Anyway, happy holidays to you all, and please enjoy the best ofs from My Momma Told Me. Okay, let's play a game. I want to play a game with you, and this is a very fun game that I like to call
Homemade Hotel.
Okay, this is Homemade
Feel
Hotel.
my third eye opening.
Yeah, open that bad boy up. And the way that this game works is I'm going to introduce to you a fact, a standard true fact out in the world. And what I would like for you to do is to hotep the shit out of it. Bring in all the conspiratorial crazy that you think you need to make this fact feel less like a fact and more like something that is destructive to the black community or the people around it. Okay?
Okay.
Got it. Great. So your fact today, the U.S. government, starting in 2018, stopped keeping every tweet, but instead just now basically saves a very selective amount or certain selective group of tweets. But between 2006 and 2017, the U.S. government saved every single public tweet. Every single one. It's like kept in a database somewhere from 2006 to 2017. Why do you think that is? Hotep that shit for me. Make it as homemade hotep as you wish.
Wow. So, wow. First of all, first and foremost, giving all honor to God, Pastor. Kings and queens.
Mm-hmm.
In 2006, I want to talk to you about a man.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk to you about a man whose name is Barack Hussein Obama.
Uh-oh.
And in 2006, this is when he really started getting percolating.
Uh-huh.
This is when he started percolating. Everybody was like, okay, he was an alderman. Now he a senator. And look at this black man rise like a shooting star.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People started whispering. They were like,
Mm-hmm.
Negro president. You know? And Twitter knew this. And they saw this thing coming, right? 2006, right?
Yep.
Why do you think that, okay, so we're talking 2006, we're talking presidential run 2007, right? Okay, so we're talking Obama 08, right? Obama's president, right? Everything's black stuff. You know, they worried about nigger revolt. Nigga, you know, all niggas gonna get excited. Is their black leader gonna come and, you know, it's gonna be Toussaint Louverture all over again. It's gonna be the Haitian Revolution. You know, they thought like maybe niggas gonna get too spicy. So let's just keep all of their tweets, right? And that's why in 2017, which is a year after 2016, which what happened in 2016, Trump right? That's when they stopped saving all the tweets because they was like, we don't even need these shits no more because we don't got a Negro in office anymore. So now we just gonna save like Black Twitter. That's another issue. It's like, but y'all, Black Twitter, we started getting a little too organized on Twitter. Now, yeah, it's jokes like nigga Navy and jokes, you know, on anybody in anybody's circumstance. Even when we thought we was gonna have World War III, jokes. But now the government knows about Black Twitter, where we are. Like, think about the last time you saw Wendy's tweet. Why Wendy tweet so black? Why does Wendy's have a mixtape? It's all connected. Why does Wendy's have a mixtape? Because Black people like mixtapes, and where do they sell them? Out of the trunk of their car. The government is trying to get inside your vehicle.
Woo!
And steer you where they want you to go.
Uh-oh. There it is.
Yes.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that.
Oh man, that you brought up a lot of powerful shit here. You're saying that there's a real possibility that they started tracking every single tweet as a way of containing this nigga revolution that was building in relation or potentially building in relation to Barack Obama. And then as soon as he was out of office, they no longer needed to collect all of those tweets because they had all the information and documentation that they needed. And for some reason, Wendy's is connected to all of that. You did all the things that a hotep is meant to do.
Why are the patties square?
Nah, there
That's
it
all
is.
I'm saying. Because they trying to put niggas in a box. Think about it.
The key to being a good hotep is, like you said, thank God, and then really connected to a bunch of things that are nonsensical while making a few really
This
good
makes
points.
Perfect sense. Why is Wendy's slogan "Fresh, never frozen"? What do Black people like to be? Fresh.
Wow.
Think about that. Pontificate on that, kings and queens.
Listen, I'm thinking about it, and I know my listeners at home are also thinking about it, probably in different ways than we anticipated, but they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's on their brains.
Pull out your TI dictionary of vocabulary and start putting 2 and 3 together.
Exactly. Let's play a fun game that I like to call White Lies.
Ugly, you're disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
White Lies. This is a very fun game where Michael, will introduce to you a traditional white conspiracy theory, one that white people have maintained for quite a while. And I would love for you to just unpack exactly why you think white people are so invested in this conspiracy theory. What do you think they're holding on to?
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah, exactly.
I know them all.
Perfect. This is a classic. I think you're going to love it. White people for a while have maintained that most people in politics are secretly lizard people. I'm sure you've heard that before, that they're actually like lizard alien people from, I guess, the bottom of the earth. Sometimes I hear the bottom of the earth. Sometimes I hear outer space. But they're lizard people hiding in fleshy skin, and they're planning our ultimate destruction despite appearing to be servants of, justice and all that other stuff. My question for you is, why do you think white people referring to our leaders and best as lizard people is so important to them?
Okay, so I gave you 2 answers, right? So I know the answer, right? So
Perfect.
The truth is that this idea came from an idea that was generated like in the early Christian church, that the people who were nobility, the clergy class, they were actually not just ordained by God, right? But they were a different bloodline than like why would you peasant in France just think, oh, the guy who's leading me is going to pass it down to his son? And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Unless you thought like there was some kind of inherited bloodline that was different from yours, right? So that is an idea that's been generated over other thousands of years, right? And like, if you a white person in America, that seems like the only logical answer to why you can't get in. So I don't know. Do y'all have Waffle Houses in LA? Right. Well, I mean,
I'm familiar. I think we're all familiar with the Waffle House. Yeah.
Actually, so I had this thought at Denny's the first time I had it. But I was at a Denny's and it was like after the club. It was like 3 a.m. It was like this 58-year-old white man sweeping up in a Denny's at 3 a.m. And I'm
God damn.
thinking, what the fuck happened? Like a white man
in the worst position.
But those are the people who believe in it, like the people who believe in QAnon, right? Like, so we know from polling data, and like the people who are more likely to be Trump supporters are uneducated, white, poor people. You know, that's always surprises people that, you know, white people, poor white people generally don't vote, right?
Right.
That's what gave Trump this, you know, this big lead, because when Hillary Clinton ran against him, all the previous data says, well, we don't have to worry about the poor white people. And that's how Trump won, right? So poor white people, just think about living in a world where, this is a quote I stole from somebody, but they have convinced you that you're not a loser. You're a winner who just hasn't won yet.
Yeah.
And that's how white people think, right? And so the reason they believe in stuff like lizard people coming from outer space and zipping up human skin and controlling the world is the only other choice a poor, uneducated white person has is to believe that he ain't did enough in his life, because you got all the opportunities. You have the world that is built for you. So why aren't you afraid? My mama always said, you know, I mean, when you talk about people with average intelligence, that means like half of the world is below average intelligence.
Right.
And so, but nobody thinks that they're dumb. Nobody thinks that they're dumb, and nobody thinks that they're dressed bad, and everybody thinks they're funny. That's three things that you can always invariably count on. That's why people who make you laugh are generally more intelligent than people who are serious. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm a comedian. It's actual like generally.
Well, listen, I'm going to repeat
the
it to a lot of people to sell my own brand. But...
Oh, you didn't know that, right? like there are studies that shows like people in comedy have higher IQs.
Hell yeah!
Like,
I'll take it. Sure, it's the standardized white test, but hell yeah, I'll own that shit.
Right. It's probably, because I mean, you think about what comedy is, like the gift of words and the ability to like kind of pull this one joyous emotion out of people. You have to exercise a muscle to do that. But let's go back to the lizard people, right? So that thing started with It started with a dude named David Icke, who started this theory that these royal bloodlines, it goes back to the Illuminati. These people came from outer space, and they control the world through this system of communication. And sometimes they, you might catch them with their skins off. And that was the goal. Like, remember when, this is probably before your time too. Remember Alex Jones snuck into the Grove, where all these, this is the actual thing, right? Where all these rich people meet every year, like Bill Clinton, rich and powerful people. And he thought he was going to catch them. Like, he literally thought he was going to catch them unzipping the lizard skins, right?
Thinking they're going to be in there drinking goat blood and like doing evil shit. And they were just being regular people.
Right. But the truth is, it goes back to what you were talking about earlier, right? These subgroups. Like, victims create subgroups easier than the people who are perpetuating the oppression, right? And rich people, like black people, think white people stick together. White people don't stick together. We think rich people stick together. Rich people don't stick together, right? Like, we have these unfounded notions that the only way these people can achieve what they achieve is through some collective effort, when the truth is that they have just built a system. Like, they don't have to wear no white. Like, if you gave me the choice of reconfiguring the school system, the economic system, the banking system, having generational wealth, bruh, you might think I came from outer space too. I'd be so dope.
Yeah.
But I would be like all my people would, you know what I'm saying? We'd have the best schools, everybody would be clapping on beat and laughing at the white people. It'd be, great potato salad at McDonald's. And people would think, well, they must be know some kind of magic shit to do all of that. Nah, but you built and control a system.
I think you're hitting on something that certainly is resonating with me. I've been watching a shit ton of The Crown lately. I don't know if you watch The Crown at all.
Nah, I hadn't gotten into it, man.
Well, I like it because it's just proof that it's a lot of what you're saying, and they're all scumbags and gross people, but in a very specific way that I'm fascinated by. But one of the things that my wife and I were talking about the other day was how insane it is that people are rooting for the bloodline of a family that's held above them, right? That they're literally cheering outside because this bloodline has continued of people who are they're basically paying taxes every year to maintain like a giant palace for them to go do stupid shit in. And one of the things that I think you're getting to is they do legitimately think to cheer for them, you have to legitimately think that their blood is different than yours, that they are, in fact, this blessed group that deserves this sort of like celebration. And this is where, you know, the lizard people are slightly different, but kind of the same, is that in America, you can only make sense of the difference that these white people have, the way they've excelled, the way they've made it, is to believe that their blood is different than yours, that they're cold-blooded and sort of like some sort of alien creature, because otherwise you have to make peace with the fact that you're just a regular white dude who didn't make it despite the math working in your favor.
Right, but you know what the crazy thing about that is, right? Like, that extends to us too, right? Like, the people who believe that there are lizard people who control the banking industry also believe that we have something in our blood that makes us inferior to them, right? So it's not just like the lizard shit. Like, it's crazy. It sounds like white people ain't got no sense. If I told you that there were lizard people who won't let me get a loan, and that's why I can't get ahead, you would say, he ain't got no sense.
Yeah.
But if I got mad because a black person moved next door to me, or my daughter brought home a black person that she was dating, you would say, I mean, that seems logical. It is the same insanity, right? It literally doesn't make any sense, right? It is as crazy as lizard people with zip-up skin. But we've accepted one and don't, like, most of us have accepted the other. Like, you have to correct black people all of the time too. Like, you out here see black people, it's like, white people do this with their money, or white people, they teach their kids how to speak a foreign. I was just correcting somebody the other day on Twitter. White people teach their kids how to speak a foreign language. Actually, black people are more likely to speak a foreign language than white people. Like, it's just this thing that we believe because, like, they get better schools.
Yeah.
Like, white people keep their money, like, do this with their money. Bro, they got extra money because it is generational.
Right.
It is intergenerational. They have the better schools. They have the better platforms. They have all, like, it is not that they don't work for that money. It is that they have placed barriers in front of us so that if we put forth the same effort as a mediocre white man, we're going to be poor and that white boy going to be okay.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying, and I think it's the almost the perfect note for us to end on, is that this is truly about maintaining a type of functionality in their own world. That it, to your point, they ain't got no sense, and they know they ain't got no sense. But the only way that you can keep thriving in a situation where you ain't got no sense is to make all of it nonsense. Is to make all of it completely nonsensical for everybody around you, and then trick a bunch of people who do or potentially could have sense into not having sense with you.
Right. It is all insanity. Nothing makes sense. And so you might as well act like they do. Right?
Yeah.
You can't make sense of racism.
Exactly.
Or white people.
I have a fun game that I would love to play with you right now.
Okay.
This game, it's a brand new game that I'm calling If They Did It.
You must be loco to mess with us. Don't you know we're dangerous? We'll kill you. We'll kill you.
Interesting.
If They Did It is the
Okay.
name of this game, and it's a
Okay.
very simple game. All I'm going to do is introduce to you a few alternative theories that I had never heard before in my life about what potentially could have happened during this murder. And what I would love for you to do is just unpack them. You're a man who or at least used to love conspiracy theories when you were more irresponsible. So just unpack them. Let's hear your thoughts on some of these,
All right,
these
throw 'em at me.
conspiracy theories.
Throw me something.
Great. My first one, and this one is very interesting to me on a number of levels, but one of the things that they point to is that apparently Nicole Brown Simpson had a drug problem, that she was in some ways in debt to a number of drug dealers, and that the murder of her and Ron Goldman was a hit for money that she owed on her, I guess, cocaine purchases. I don't know.
Now, this is a very common, this was a theory that was up and around when the trial was going on. Like, it was a drug thing. It was a drug thing. And I feel like that is kind of one of those theories that gets thrown around, like, after a lot of murder. Like, I even feel like after the Manson murders, people are like, this was a drug thing. Like, actually, if you go into it, it was a drug thing. I think it was too sloppy to be a drug hit. Like, why are you going in there with one knife? Why are you going in there? Like, I just feel like that's too sloppy.
Yeah, I agree. There's something weird about, like, if this is in fact like this major cartel, like, trying to seek vengeance, you don't send one dude who can get beat up by a man named Ron Goldman.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I also think, like, the part of, I think, what gave that conspiracy some credence, I think, at least in Florida, was that there were rumors that the kids were now selling drugs after the trial. Like, so it was just like, were drugs always a part of the picture? But I don't know. To me, it feels like you go in there, you have a gun or something, and what are they selling drugs? How much money could they owe? I think another weird fucked up thing that I remember hearing was like something about like a Colombian necktie where they're like, that's where you like slit the throat and pull their tongue. It's like that shit is not happening in Brentwood, man. Like, that is so risky and stupid.
Yeah.
So I do not think it was a drug thing.
Yeah, they're not sending a message to all these people with 3 pools.
No,
They're
I don't think, that old white lady in the slippers next door need to know what's up.
You're next, Bernice.
I don't think
it's
they
like,
needed
I don't think that's the energy that the cartel is showing up with. Here's a sillier, I don't know if sillier is the right word, but certainly a more absurd one. There's a theory that OJ hired a serial killer to murder his ex-wife and Ron Goldman, a man named Glenn Rogers.
Interesting.
Who basically claims to have killed 70 women, including Nicole Brown Simpson, is apparently hired by OJ and is in fact the murderer. And it's even verified. The brother of Glenn Rogers basically claims he genuinely believes that his brother was in fact the person who did the murders.
Interesting. See, I'd never heard that. I had maybe heard that, like, it looked like it could have been a serial killer, the murder, you know, like there was a sadisticness to it, which I think you attribute to either someone, you know, like a passion crime or a serial killer.
Yep.
I think there was also some theory going around when I was younger that like OJ tried to make it look like it was a serial killer or something. So it's interesting that there's an actual person that they've attributed it to. I would say that is not a terrible idea for like, like not to say that we should do that, but like, if you were like writing a movie, like that's
no, I love that you were sitting there like, honestly,
I mean,
I'm
like,
liking what OJ's doing
because
here.
like if this was like a movie, right, you could be like, it's the perfect crime because ultimately if you get caught, which you want to get caught as a serial killer, like you'll just be like, it was a random killing, you know. You find, do you hunt down a serial killer only to have him kill someone in your life? That's not a bad idea. Like,
that's the part that I think bumped me pretty hard in all of this. Is like, what did OJ look up to find local serial killers in his area that could take care of his ex-wife for him?
Let me ask around. You guys know, hey, I'm OJ. You guys know these serial killers?
Hey, Rob Kardashian, you know any serial killers nearby?
It would have to be some sort of like when OJ was in jail, met someone, you know what I mean? And like, because he's OJ, they're like, oh my God, it's OJ. I love you. Like, you love me, huh? You want to do something for me? Like,
I kill people because of you. What's up, OJ?
But I would say this, Langston. Okay, you are an actor. If we wrote a movie that was like, dude who wants to like kill his boss, and he's like a detective. So he hunts down a serial killer and corners him. And the serial killer's, what are you going to do? Arrest me? He's like, no, I got a job for you. Then he gets his boss. Man, this is pretty good.
It's pretty
good.
Got
to edit
I'm
that
not going to lie.
We have to edit that shit out.
I'm intrigued. You got my ear. I want to develop this.
With OJ. Let's get OJ.
We got to take him into the pitches, and he's got to talk about the Buffalo Bills.
Well, here's what's going on with the Buffalo Bills. If you're going to run the ball, you got to have a passing game. All right, man. What does that mean? You got to commit to running the ball.
Here's another phenomenal. This is a much more absurd one. There are some people who contend that OJ was the victim of mind control in murdering his wife. That basically the CIA, the FBI, the Illuminati all sort of team up and start running mind control experiments on OJ, ultimately to sort of like increase or bring a head to the racial tension that is building already in America. That this is like a chess move, that if OJ kills his wife, we are able to, I guess, solve race? I don't know what the
I will
goal
say
is.
that is the type of shit I would have been like 10 years ago. I would have like 12 years ago. I would be like, okay. So let me look it up. So like, who would benefit from this? Like, what companies? That's an interesting one. And like, unfortunately, the mind control might just be like he played in the NFL and like knocked his head around for however many years, you know, ran right up the middle. Like, I feel like that is where the mind control comes in. But that's a fascinating one. I did, you know, I used to think about the Illuminati all the time in Bohemian Grove and the Bilderberg meetings and all this shit. And like, I don't know what they're doing, but how many things do you have to do before you get to, all right, well, now let's frame OJ for a murder so that we could bring racial tensions? Like, they're probably just like, you know, like stealing oil from the Middle East or whatever. Like, I think there's better shit to be doing than that.
To your point, that's not that wasn't in a single meeting where y'all just sat down. This got pitched out and everybody was like, cool.
They're like, all right, let's get to point 135. Okay, let's see. You guys know OJ? No, let's watch Naked Gun.
Have you heard of OJ?
Let's watch
OJ
Naked
Simpson?
Gun real quick. Yeah.
There's a similar one that also claims that an Aryan cult might have, and not under mind control, but an Aryan cult actually was the group that murdered Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, not for the sake of sort of fixing race in America, but actually inciting the racial tension in America, that they wanted to set up OJ.
Frame. They were framing him to be like, okay, this is, and you know what? Like, I could see how that conspiracy develops because, like I said, after the trial, especially for like young kids and like people who were maybe just like had a cursory understanding of what was going on, there was this like, all right, cool, black people, like we did get, like there was a weird racial line drawn. And because obviously the trial goes way into it and like the crooked cop shit and the N-word
Mark
and all
Furman.
that shit, like it all ends up being a part of the case. So it's, but I don't know if you could have predicted the Mark Furman of it all.
Yeah.
Like he could have just rolled with his original attorney and just been like, cop a plea or whatever. The Mark Furman and the Johnny Cochran of it all are very, very, those are wild cards that I don't know if anyone could have predicted.
No, I don't think that anyone anticipated. I mean, clearly OJ didn't even anticipate it because he didn't hire
He
Johnny
didn't even
Cochran
want
in
it.
the
He was like,
beginning.
well, this ain't a race thing. He's like,
Right.
it's always a race thing. Okay.
Come on, brother, wake up. It is a race thing.
Courtney B.
My
Vance,
favorite.
I gotta say, guys, like, again, I'm gonna plug it again. If you have not watched The People versus O.J. Simpson, I've said this many times, but that is my Star Wars. Like, when the Broncos shows up on screen, I was like, oh, like the Bronco, they got a Bronco. Oh my God. Like I was like, oh my God, who's going to be Kim? I was just obsessed with it.
I love the idea that like Star Wars, you're dressing up before every episode.
I'm
You're
like
just
dressed up like
sitting-
AC. I'm like sitting in the front. I'm like, this is cool. I'm driving people around. It is so good, that series, and I do think it goes into some of the trial. Like it really paints the picture that OJ did it, which I don't necessarily agree with 100%, but they really do a great job in showing how bad the cops were and how race played into this and how.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, they tried to frame him, whether he did it or not, or his son was involved. And it's so good and well acted. And Courtney B. Vance and like fucking Darden and Marsha Clark are so good in it.
Yeah. I'll give you one last
Yes.
alternative theory, and this one actually is my favorite. And you've brought it up once or twice already, but I think it's worth digging into a little. One of the arguments that I read on the internet that people make for OJ being innocent of the crime, not in fact a murderer, is the brain damage that he suffered from professional football. That the CTE somehow exempts him from the crimes that he committed.
Well, it's if you watch the really, really sad Aaron Hernandez documentary, it really makes you want to look at everybody's brain, like the Junior Seau of it all. Like there's a lot of really fucked up shit going on.
Sure.
And I don't think it makes him innocent.
I was about to say,
like,
where does innocence come into that? Because sad, 100%.
I ultimately think, like, for justice to be served on that, like, we have to figure out a way to, one, look, I hate the NFL. I don't like that league at all. But we have to figure out a way to protect those players, and we have to figure out a way to treat them after they play. Because if not, you're going to have a lot of very young, almost going broke, extremely dangerous individuals that are like, that are unwell because of, like, I think it happens in soccer in Europe, and it happens in football out here. And it's like, you got to be careful with those head injuries, man. Like that.
Right. You
crazy.
Trained a dude for 5 to 10 years to lift 400 pounds over his head. And then afterwards, you left him with zero money and zero accountability. So, yeah, he's probably going to act a nut.
Tons of scarring in his brain. Like, it is really sad what happens to those players in the NFL. And I feel like it's such a grinding. And look, OJ came from a time where you could get rich. Like, he was one of the lucky ones. Like, he had a career after the NFL. Commercials, everything. So even then, I do think that and look, all the stuff that we know he did, the abusing of Nicole, the like incidents of rage in the hotel room and on the streets of Miami, like that shit I can attribute to CTE. Is he not guilty? That dude is still very guilty of that stuff. But it is a sad circumstance for sure.
And I think to your earlier point, the hope would be that we figure out a way, because I think the only way to check for CTE right now is for you to, you have to be dead and like pull the brain apart.
Which is so sad. They got to figure out a way to find that in some sort of
to figure out a way to track it early, and then to your point, get people the help that they need, even if, they have committed crimes, ultimately getting them into some kind of service where they can be held accountable, but also get better from whatever this shit is the goal.
Here's what they got to do. Get rid of helmets in the NFL. Like, no lie. If there are no helmets, look at these rugby dudes. They're not getting the same injuries because they're not taking the same risks.
Yeah, I'm not going skull to skull.
I'm not diving missile head first. Like
I just really want the Washington football team to win. No,
I can't. It's very upsetting to me. But
absolutely,
is that a conspiracy? I don't think so. Like, I think it's probably just, you might as well assume OJ had it. The amount of miles on him as a running back and the amount of the load he took and the way he ran.
Sure, I think the conspiracy was more of
once you have it, you're kind of like free to do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's like a get out of jail free card. It's like no, I earned my brain damage.
No, the get out of jail free card was that he was famous and rich.
All right, let's play a game. We have a fun game. It's a game that I love to play. It's a game called Homemade Hotep.
Homemade hotel.
There it is.
All right, Homemade Hotep. This is the way it works. I'm going to introduce to you a real life fact, a fact that exists out in the world. And what I would love for you to do, Bashir, is just Hotep the shit out of it. Just add as much theory and problematic views as any Hotep would to this theory. Whatever you need to do to get yourself all the way to the end of the whole thing. Does that make sense?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. Okay, so your real fact that exists is that apparently the keyboard, the QWERTY keyboard that we all type on, was actually designed to make people type slower. That like they found that the old version of the keyboard that I guess had letters in order, people were typing too fast and catching up with computers in a way that they didn't plan for. And so they changed the keyboard to slow people down.
Well, wow. That's first off, that's entirely real. I think, Einstein said E equals MC squared. And what he was saying in that equation, we all know this, is that matter and energy are essentially two versions of the same thing.
Yep.
When you type too fast, brother, you create a vibrational harmonic with the natural energies and resources of the earth, which could allow your third eye to open and for you to see, because I think a lot of people think that time moves in a straight line. But in fact, as we learn from Gabriel Garcia Marquez's book, time moves in a circle. Things happen over and over again. And so people's third eye, if they speed up too much, because then all of a sudden action and thought become energy and become one, it speeds up too much. And people then will able to see the natural curvature and rotation and gravitation of the universe and of the earth. They will be able to see time. They will be able to see the future, right?
Yep.
So what happened was a lot of people were typing in the old version of the keyboard, and they were typing so fast, they were seeing visions. They were like, oh my God, we got to stop Hitler. And they were like, no, we got to stop that. Because the powers that be, the Trilateral Commission and the Rothschilds, they needed Hitler to come along because he was very instrumental in their other plans that they had, brother. Now follow along with this
listening.
You can. So in order to slow down the ability of matter and thought to convert into one, and for you to see time all the way through, they had to slow down the keyboard. And so now what they've done is they brainwash you, brother. If you open your eyes, you'll see it. They brainwash you into believing that you can only type so fast, because you've always heard about people being able to type, I type 100 words a minute. You've never heard over 150, because 150 is the point.
Oh.
So if somebody says, I type 200 words a minute, that person's probably a psychic.
Sure.
and they can't reveal themselves.
I got
So it's really all interconnected to time and space. But I've done my own research on this stuff. Other people do their research. And this is kind of what I came out with. But what do I know, brother?
Hey,
I've been to Egypt and it felt real.
Hey, there it is. Hey.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about
There it is. That's Homemade Hotep, everybody. Fucking
There it
nailed
is.
it. Time, space. The only thing you missed was a little misogyny and homophobia for a good Hotep
Stay tuned
rant.
for part 2.
I want to play a game. We're going to play a game together. It's a fun game. It's a brand new game. We've never played this one before. It's a brand new game that I'm calling Oprah's Acolytes.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
Oprah's Acolytes is a fun game where I, Alex, am going to introduce to you a few of the people that were created from the Oprah dynasty, that were born out of the Oprah dynasty, that have now become famous in their own right. And what I would like to do, because I think you and I are both in agreement that Oprah has only sinister plans for the world and awful sort of treacherous things in mind for our well-being. What I would love for you to do is unpack what you think Oprah's intention was in letting these people loose out into the world. That makes sense to you?
Perfect sense.
Fuck yeah. So the first person was Dr. Phil. What do you think Oprah's plans were in unleashing Dr. Phil to the world?
I think that when Oprah brought us Dr. Phil, she was saying there is a vast majority of Americans specifically who are suffering from mental health issues, and I would like to be a part of making it work.
I see a lot of sick Americans, and I would like them to be sicker. I don't want...
And because... Yep, and I do believe that Oprah is hand in hand. She is in cahoots with Big Pharma. Okay, so if I can unleash this very traumatic man, this very a man that screams at you, yells at you, kind of doesn't really give you any loving path to, kind of just shouts. And assumes authority with like no real guidance, really, and kind of platform him towards where he has a show that almost exploits the psychological nature of the modern day American. Just gonna give those to Big Pharma, because what'll then happen is between his show there are commercials for pills and drugs that help you get it, become dependent on those. So Oprah and Big Pharma were the parents of Dr. Phil.
Wow. Okay. I like where you're heading. Here's a fun one that you did, Dr. Phil. Hit me with a little sauce on Dr. Oz. What do you do with Dr. Oz?
Dr. Oz, okay, I think with Dr. Oz, women already go to the doctor, okay? It's already known that women are prone to visiting the doctor, getting checked up more regularly than men.
Yep.
So why not make it sexy for him? Why? Because Dr. Oz is an attractive man. No one wants to fuck Dr. Phil, so that's why he's gonna fuck your brain. Dr. Oz is gonna get up in your pussy. Dr. Oz is gonna tell you, yeah, Dr. Oz, tell me about my titties, tell me about my lump, tell me about, okay, ladies, if you check, my mother would have never gone to get a breast exam if it wasn't for Dr. Oz.
So you're telling me, and correct me if I'm hearing you wrong, I think what you're saying is that Dr. Phil introduced Big Pharma, and then Dr. Oz made Big Pharma sexy. He made us horny for Big Pharma.
Dr. Oz brought Big Pharma back, brought sexy back into Big Pharma.
We're now busting it open for pills because of Dr. Oz.
Bust it wide open for your IUD.
I love that. And I hate that this is Oprah's plan, but I love that you spotted it, and we're gonna unpack some more.
And birth control, yep. And we already know about what birth control is to Black women in the community. So, and you think Oprah, yeah, go ahead and tell these bitches about their bodies. That's what she told. That's what she told Dr. Oz.
I like this. Okay, let's do another one. Rachel Ray. Okay. Talk to me about Rachel Ray and Oprah's intentions with Rachel Ray.
Okay. I think a lot of us are well versed on Oprah's relationship with food. Remember when she pulled out the meat, and that was like the meat that she pulled out on the wagon was the equivalent of how much weight she lost or whatever craziness.
For those that don't remember, Oprah at one point lost, I believe, 67 pounds, and then she dragged a wagon of animal fat out onto the stage to demonstrate how much weight she had lost.
And Oprah is a shapeshifter. We know this. Like she goes up and down in weight like nobody's business. So I believe that when she got into the meeting, with ABC, and she said, "Ladies and gentlemen, my next prototype, Rachel Ray." She presented Rachel Ray, and the mission with Rachel Ray was, big girls, you can eat well, but be healthy, but keep eating.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can take this a step further, because I think what you're saying is that Oprah Winfrey introduces Rachel Ray as a way of trapping us in our own like fat shit while simultaneously selling us health. She's like being like, hey, you don't got to change your diet. You don't got to be a different kind of person. Secretly, Rachel Ray is cooking up a bunch of meals that are clogging our cardiovascular valves and shit and holding us down.
You know what she did? Remember when the cartoon, in all of the cartoons, they would try to get Bugs Bunny, right?
Yep.
And they would try to get Bugs Bunny with the carrot. And, the string would be on the carrot, you pull it, okay. There was no string.
Mhm.
Okay. Oprah put the carrot in the box, in the Rachel Ray box.
Yep.
With the carrot. Got all of the big women to come towards the box, close the box.
Yep.
But the box turned into ribs. the carrot turned into ribs. It was a trick. So I you know what I honestly believe? Rachel Ray is a figment of our imagination.
So Rachel Ray doesn't exist. She is merely a Horcrux of Oprah out in the world, sort of doing her deviant damage.
There we are. I would honestly scrap everything that we just said about Rachel Ray, and that is what I believe. I believe that Rachel Ray is a hologram. She doesn't really exist. Oprah did it just to make it appear as though she was cared about healthy eating and stuff like that. She was like, yeah, this will fit. She was tired of talking. Let's just keep it a buck. At a certain point of time in her tenure, during her run, Oprah just got tired of talking. She was like, let me just give this to people. White people, y'all been hearing my voice every single day for 20-something years. I'm going to give y'all these white people, and I'm going to sit back and be responsible for them.
I like that. Okay.
She is the Zordon. Oprah is the Zordon, and they are the Power Rangers.
Well, I'll ask you about this last person, and I don't know if you'll qualify this person as a Power Ranger in that analogy that you just created. We were just talking about her, Iyanla Vanzant. What do you think Oprah's intention was when she unleashed Iyanla Vanzant on the world?
Comedy. Oprah was like, we need to laugh.
Yeah, she was like, this bitch is funny.
We need to laugh together. And you know what's so funny is that Iyanla Vanzant truly is a comedian. I believe that Iyanla Vanzant is like she's one of the underrepresented, underrated, she's not giving her due as a comic. I'm not as funny as
Iyanla Vanzant. I know that for
I don't
a fact.
think I ever will be. There was an episode, and I went on an Iyanla rabbit hole on YouTube not too long ago, and there was, because they had drama. Iyanla and Oprah had beef.
They hated
for a
each other
second.
because Oprah basically played her, set her up to be the next person, and then got jealous that Iyanla wasn't following her exact instructions as a supreme leader.
And then Iyanla broke the chain of command, and she was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do my own thing. And she was like, you know what I can do to you? Look what I did to Tommy Hilfiger. Do you need the same thing to be happening? Get back on my show and talk to my wife. Iyanla had to do the same. Iyanla had to do the same perp walk. She had to do the same perp walk. Go on that show and cry to Oprah, talk about what's going on, and then we can send you on your way. On that episode, actually, there is a scene, which is why I say comedy. There is a scene, and this is how evil Oprah is. There is a scene where they're taking B-roll shots of Iyanla while she's telling her story about struggling financially and spiraling after the Oprah deal went through, and she was depressed and stuff. And they're taking B-roll of Iyanla just draped in this big heavy coat with this scarf wrapped around her neck with this weird hat, and she's walking through a park, a random park. It's a cloudy day. It's not a flattering shot of her, but they've played it. They've played the B-roll of her doing that maybe 3 times throughout the segment,
right?
And the audience is laughing, and Oprah's calling back to it multiple times, making an audience of people laugh at her. She's literally embarrassing her. And Iyanla has to shrug it off oh yeah, I look homeless in that shot, don't I? Yeah, that's how sad I was. And Oprah had called it back. I was can you, she's literally play it again. I can't.
Christ.
And I'm
and I will say there's something really sinister in what you're describing where Oprah is quite possibly teaching the world. She gives us Iyanla Vanzant as a way to teach the world to laugh comically at this Black woman instead of respecting her as an actual therapist, a healer that she sort of has branded herself as, and she is no more unqualified than Dr. Phil is. But Oprah found a way to discredit the Black woman and then prop the white dude up for 20 seasons of yelling at teenagers and telling them that they need to be nicer to their moms.
And Ayanna has the hips that Liz Claiborne didn't want people wearing. Those exactly.
Hey,
yep.
Hey, I see what's under there,
It's all
Ayanna,
connected.
and I'm trying to see
It's
more.
all connected. It's all connected. Tommy Hilfiger said, "Get your big black Ayanna hips out of my jeans."
I love this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. You heard it. You heard the best. Anyway, you know which ones are the best of part 1, but please come back to find out which ones are the best of part 2. And as always, you can follow me at Langston Kerman. And more importantly, if you want to give me a great holiday gift, if you want to make me feel good this holiday season, go ahead and subscribe and write a review on Apple Podcasts. We're almost at 1,000. I've been dreaming my whole life for 1,000 reviews. As a boy, I would look up at my papa. I called him Papa. I'm from old-timey Russia. And I would say, Papa, please, I dream of 1,000 reviews. And my father, my papa, he would say, no, you stupid boy. Nobody's ever gotten 1,000 reviews. It's impossible. It could never happen. But I think it could still happen. I want to prove my papa wrong. I want to spit in his face after I get 1,000 reviews. Please help me spit in my father's face by reviewing the podcast and writing great comments. And you know the rest. Just follow, and if you want to send us drops and your own conspiracy theories, you can always send them to mymommapod@gmail.com. And most importantly, I want y'all to have a healthy, happy new year, and I want you to come with your healthy, happy conspiracy theories in 2022. Anyway, see you at the Best Ofs Part 2. Okay, bye, bitch.